Hi, hello. So I bought these on eBay in 2020, even though these are 2004 Game Boy Advance Messengers, which is basically just IM for your Game Boy Advance locally, which I thought was really interesting. They're by Majesco, and I got one brand new and one used. And I thought we would dive in and kind of see if they work and what exactly they do, because they're quite odd, and I feel like kind of a really interesting part of the Game Boy Advance history. Since I bought one of these brand new, I thought it'd be interesting to kind of preserve the instructions in case you guys are interested in getting them somehow. If you get your hands on one and they're used, and it just comes separately like this one did, super beat up. Figured it'd be kind of interesting to actually be able to look over it if you don't have the instructions, so you can pause the video and kind of read it. It's very, very self-explanatory though, I feel like, while you're using it. But these are the instructions. As for the devices themselves, they actually have an internal battery that's supposed to charge, which I don't believe that these are going to charge anymore now that they're 14 years old, but they do run on Game Boy Advance SP chargers in order to charge them, and you can also use them while they're on the charger. But being as they are so old, I believe when I want to use them now, they're going to require a charger almost 100% of the time. But while they're charged or plugged in, I'm pretty certain that they can send and receive messages even when your Game Boy Advance isn't on, which is quite interesting. Now I have them all plugged in. The Game Boy Advance SP, you're allowed to see the front of it. They work on both Game Boy Advanced versions, and on the Advanced, it goes backwards. They're both plugged into a charger because I don't believe that they hold charges. One of the coolest things about it is when you turn them on, you get to see the red Nintendo logo, since it's not a typical cartridge and it's actually reading from the device itself, which is quite interesting. And here's the title screen, which is pretty nice for reading off of an adapter instead of a cartridge. Now, I am using an SP in Advanced, but you can use two Advanced or two SPs. It doesn't really matter. I'm using these two for the sake of being able to see it since they're both backlit. This is a custom modded backlit Game Boy Advance, and this is just a Pikachu SP. That is very nice. I like it a whole bunch. So I have gone into this and looked at it just a little bit. When you start, it reads the mailbox, because when they're charging they can send letters to each other while they're not exactly in the Game Boy Advanced, which is pretty neat. They're both set to channel 1, and it does take a minute for the two to kind of register each other, which is quite interesting. And there's an inbox, there's no messages because I haven't sent myself a message. And then in the options, now if I bring it up here, you can set it from QWERTY to A to Z, which is pretty neat. You can change your name. This one just has exclamation points to differentiate this one without. And you can change the channel, but it will delete all of your neighbors, and you can only see users in the channel that you're in, so I won't do that. It's on 1, and it has a device ID and a version number, which is pretty neat. And while you're here, when you select someone who's nearby, you click on them and you can go to chat, and it'll initiate a chat, and this one should pop up, and you can accept. And it is just text chatting, which is very similar to the later PictoChat, which is really, really interesting. I just thought this piece of technology for the Game Boy Advance is really cool, and I really like just this really weird, odd stuff. When you send it, it's going to pop up over here. It's like a live instant messenger chat, except for they only work locally. The back of the box, I believe, says up to 3 miles, which I have very high doubt for, because not even good walkie-talkies can run 3 miles, but there's no additional batteries, no monthly cost, because it has a charger in here, but the batteries are so old I'm sure they're dead. And you can have, I don't know how many people you can have max, but I'm sure up to 8. Probably, which is really cool. And you can exit the chat, and when one person exits, it exits, I believe, everyone, or until everyone is gone. When you're on someone else's, looking at their name, you can message them, which will go to the inbox. So if I were to say hi and send it, it's quite a tedious way to, oh, there we go. Quite a tedious way to send a message, but there's the message from this Game Boy. It says hi, and you can reply or delete. I'm gonna leave it because I don't have any messages, because I don't have anyone to use these with. And while you're also on here, you can add someone as a buddy, which I'm sure is like a friends list, and it's got a little human character there, which is pretty interesting. You can block them in case someone is being rude. You want to block them from your local wireless messenger, which is pretty interesting. You can remove their name, save a list, which I'm sure is like a group. So if you save a list, I think it will just save all of the users here. You can clear the list, which I'll do. Really clear list. I cleared it, so there's no neighbors. I'm not sure that my neighbor will pop up anymore. And you can turn the power off. You can power it down, because I'm sure it uses battery even when you're not plugged in, if it were to hold a charge. And that's pretty much all of the features. The neighbor popped back up after I cleared my list. It took a minute to load. And all in all, I think that's pretty much the gist of the Majesco wireless messenger. I bought 2 of them because they seemed really interesting. I just really like odd technology, old dated things that aren't quite useful nowadays, but I think this is a really fun thing to do if you were ever to have a friend over and want to mess with your Game Boy Advance, even though it's quite dated. But I really like this kind of thing, and I think that they're really interesting, even though they hold a charge and don't really hold a charge nowadays. They're pretty neat, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I know it's quite odd, and I'll see you the next time we do something fun with old technology. Have a good one.